Has this ever happened to you? You're mid-sentence, sharing something truly important, and suddenly, someone cuts you off. In meetings, with friends, even your loved ones interrupt you. But here's the crucial question. How do you react? Do you fall silent, shrinking away? Do you awkwardly smile and whisper, "Sorry"? You go ahead? This might seem harmless, but it's not. Each time you surrender that moment, you're silently teaching the world the value, or lack thereof, of your own voice. This isn't just about interruptions. It's about presence, power, and ultimately, respect. Today, on Living Stoic, I'll reveal something timeless. 3 deceptively simple words that can instantly stop interruptions. Words once wielded by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. So potent they can command a room and draw every eye back to you. Stay with me until the end. Once you master these words, you'll never struggle to be heard again. And if you believe in self-mastery, in becoming unshakable amidst life's noise, then subscribe now. Living Stoic is where we build that strength together. What are these 3 words? We'll unveil the first one shortly. But first, let's understand why language itself has always been synonymous with power in Stoic philosophy. Part 1: Words and Power. The ancients understood this profoundly. Romans believed words could forge empires. A single promise could ignite a war. A timely command could save thousands. Seneca wrote to Lucilius, "Brevity and calm in speech carry more force than the loudest cries." Not volume, but calm authority. This holds true today. Power isn't in swords. It's in your speech. In a meeting, if you can't command attention, you'll be overlooked. In a negotiation, if you can't defend your points, you'll be dismissed. Even in personal relationships, if your voice wavers, you'll be unheard. The problem is, most of us give our power away. We awkwardly smile, we whisper sorry, we yield. In that instant, we broadcast a dangerous message. My voice matters less. Marcus Aurelius cautioned himself daily. Do not be distracted by the unnecessary. Hold to what is essential. If you don't safeguard the essence of your own words, others will seize it. So, how do you reclaim attention without shouting or anger? Let's begin with the first word. A word so simple, many underestimate it. Part 2. The first word, listen. Why is listen so powerful? Psychologists call it an orienting signal. When you utter listen, the human brain is instantly primed to pause, focus, and prepare for something significant. Imagine this. You're in a buzzing meeting, voices competing. You don't raise yours. You don't pound the table. You simply state, "Listen, here's what needs to be finished first." The din subsides. The room stills, not due to threat, but because listen carries inherent gravity. It's a gentle command our instincts are wired to obey. History confirms this. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, would pause mid-lesson when students grew restless. No scolding, no shouting. He would calmly survey the room, make eye contact, and slowly pronounce, "Listen." Order was instantly restored. Silence became his ally. Centuries later, Martin Luther King Jr. echoed this, often beginning phrases in his "I Have a Dream" speech with, "Now listen." Amidst thousands chanting and clapping, they leaned in. The crowd yielded its noise to the weight of his voice. The lesson: when you use listen, you remind others your words have value. You're not seeking permission. You're declaring your presence. But listen alone isn't enough. Attention quickly dissipates unless it's anchored to meaning. You must show why your words deserve priority. That's where the second word enters, shifting the very hierarchy of any conversation. Part 3. The second word, important. Interruptions occur because people subconsciously believe their thoughts supersede yours. They assume their input is urgent while yours can wait. The moment you deploy important, that assumption crumbles. You fundamentally alter the conversation's hierarchy, creating weight, and the brain responds. Neuroscience reveals that when something is labeled important, the mind prioritizes it. Attention sharpens, focus deepens. Picture this: you're presenting an idea, someone interjects. Instead of fading, you calmly state, "The important point is this." Instantly, the interruption loses steam. No one wants to be perceived as ignoring what's important. The Stoics grasped this ages ago. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, "Hold to what is necessary. Do not be distracted by what does not matter." On the battlefield, amidst advisors, Marcus would raise his hand and declare, "The important matter is the discipline of the soldiers." Chatter ceased. All attention returned to the core issue. In daily life, this can sound like, "What's important here is that I explain the reason first," or "The important detail I was about to add changes everything." Notice, you're no longer fighting for attention. You're defining where attention belongs. But here's the catch. Importance alone can feel abstract. People might nod and still disengage. To truly command presence, you must ground importance in time. Make it immediate. That's why the third word is paramount. It's the word that pulls every wandering mind back to the present moment. Part 4. The third word, now. Later is easily dismissed. Tomorrow can always be postponed. But now cannot be brushed aside. When you utter now, you anchor attention in the only moment that genuinely exists. Seneca wrote, "Life is divided into 3 parts. What was, what will be, and what is. We are not masters of the first 2, but only the third." The Stoics believed the present is our sole possession. This is why now is so potent. It forbids distraction. It demands presence. Imagine this. You're interrupted mid-thought. Instead of retreating, you firmly state, "Now, let me finish this." The other person pauses because now isn't optional. It compels them back into the current moment with you. History provides vivid examples. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, would halt debates to remind students, now is the time to practice philosophy, not tomorrow. By using now, he refused to let wisdom drift into an abstract future. He pulled everyone back to reality. Even modern leaders, coaches, and commanders rely on it. A general doesn't say soon, he says now. A coach doesn't shout later, he demands focus now. Urgency commands action. So when you say, "Now hear the rest of my point," or "Now focus on this part," you're not battling interruptions. You're replacing their momentum with your own. Short, sharp, undeniable. With listen, you gain attention. With important, you define priority. With now, you root it in the present. But simply knowing these words isn't enough. There's a trap. Most people fall into a single verbal habit that utterly destroys all authority the moment they speak. And that trap is the word sorry. Part 5. The trap of sorry. Consider how often you do this. You're interrupted, and almost unconsciously, you whisper, "Sorry, go ahead." Feels polite, feels safe. But beneath the surface, it's devastating. Because every time you use sorry in that context, you're not just apologizing. You're asking permission to exist in the conversation. You're teaching the other person that their words deserve space, while yours can be dismissed. Epictetus warned, "No one can diminish you without your consent." When you surrender with sorry, you're actively giving that consent away. Picture it. In a meeting, your idea is cut off. You reply, "Sorry, continue." In that instant, your influence evaporates. The room no longer perceives you as someone with valuable input. They see you as background noise. Or at home, you share something deeply personal. Your partner interrupts, and you respond, "Sorry, please finish." You've just communicated, "My feelings matter less." Do this frequently enough and people will believe it. They'll continue speaking over your voice, not out of malice, but because you've trained them to. The Stoics understood that authority isn't forced, it's embodied. Seneca reminded us that calm brevity persuades more deeply than anger. But calm authority is not the same as surrender. The real danger of sorry isn't momentary weakness. It's the slow erosion of your presence over time. This raises the question: if sorry is the trap, what's the alternative? There is one phrase just as short, just as simple. But instead of shrinking your voice, it expands it. And that phrase is, listen, there's more. Part 6. The alternative, listen, there's more. If sorry is the trap, listen, there's more is the way out. It's a concise, clear, and powerful phrase. Imagine you're in a meeting. You present an idea and someone cuts in. Most would shrink back, but instead, you meet their gaze, steady your tone, and state, listen, there's more. Suddenly, the interruption falters. Your colleague pauses. Why? Because you've just declared your thought isn't complete, and furthermore, it carries weight. Picture it in your personal relationships. You open your heart. A friend interrupts with their own story. Instead of fading, you lean slightly forward and say, listen, there's more. The effect is subtle yet profound. You've reminded them your voice isn't just noise. It's substance. And people don't interrupt substance. They lean in. Even in marriage, in the most familiar routines, this phrase can reshape habits. Partners often interrupt out of comfort, not malice. But if you always respond with sorry, the habit entrenches itself. If instead you answer, listen, there's more, you reclaim your space without hostility. The Stoics would call this discipline of speech. Epictetus taught that silence is mastery, but so is the ability to direct silence. When you say, listen, there's more, you direct silence back to yourself. You reclaim the moment with calm authority. This isn't about arrogance. It's about presence. Sorry makes your words sound like noise. Listen, there's more makes them sound like truth. And here's the greater lesson. These words aren't just conversational tactics. They are reflections of how you perceive yourself. Part 7, the Stoic lesson. At the core of Stoicism is this truth. Your words are inseparable from your character. How you speak reveals how you see yourself. Epictetus reminded his students, discipline of speech reflects discipline of thought. Seneca wrote, brevity holds more power than volume. Marcus Aurelius warned, waste no words on what is unnecessary. When you use listen, you claim attention. When you use important, you define priority. When you use now, you anchor presence. And when you replace sorry with listen, there's more, you stop surrendering your authority. This isn't about manipulation. It's about integrity. It's about living in a way that commands respect without ever needing to demand it. Because the one who embodies respect never has to ask for it. They carry it wherever they go. So remember these words, practice them, let them reshape the way you speak and the way others listen. And if you're ready to strengthen not just your words, but your entire way of living, subscribe to Living Stoic. Together we walk the path of calm authority. Together we learn to live unshakable. If this video brought you value, you can tap the subscribe, like, and share button to support me in creating much more valuable content. Thanks for watching. See you in the next dimension.